So we know the stock of the hour, that's for sure. You guys take any trades today? Another cash day for me, unfortunately. But you know, I'm not I'm not mad that I missed whatever I missed. There really wasn't that many great setups. I mean, Nvidia had a pretty good move. I know Meta had a good move today. But just kind of early on, you're kind of playing high a day, a lot of fake outs in this area. I mean, you look at this candle here and we broke the high a day, wicked all the way back down, almost $2 and then continued. So, but Tesla, yeah, biggest name of the night for sure. I swung a little bit of Tesla, just a gamble, not something I could signal really, but I swung the 170 calls for next week on this. So I'm not really mad. I talked about it this morning how obviously sentiment has been pretty bad, but I'm going to go ahead and wait to talk about all this for another 1 or 2 minutes. Let some people come in here. And then I'll talk a little bit more about Tesla. And then we'll look at some charting stuff for tomorrow. But overall, pretty big week. We got a lot more earnings names coming out, some bigger names. And yeah, we'll get into all of it. What's up, Stickman? Zuma, did you sell those calls before close? I thought that's what you were saying in the day trader chat. Yeah, no, I mean it's okay, dude. I typically don't do this, but I just thought that there may have been a gamble there. For you guys that are in the Discord, check this out. My family, my parents are in Florida right now, and they sent me this. There's a bar called the Day Trader. It's a tiki bar and restaurant, I guess. So that was pretty funny. Well, Zoom, it doesn't matter, man. You almost made, $15, $16 a contract. I mean, whatever. IONQ, Lee reviewed it recently and was running this morning. Nice, Stick Man. I love it. IONQ, never heard of it. Yeah, solid move today. Wow. 755-ish up to 821 high. I mean, you can't really complain on that. You swung 160, 162 calls, TK? Spread. So I'm not much of a spread guy. So, I mean, is that good for you? Or was it kind of a strangle on 160, 162? So it needed to stay in between those two? I would think you're doing okay on that. What kind of move are you looking for? I mean, I feel like I should know this, but I've never taken a spread before. So, did you sell the 160s and buy the 162s, or how did that work? Okay, yeah, makes sense. Cool. Well, we got a couple people on YouTube and Twitter. So, like I say every time, this is my one free lesson of the week. So you guys are more than welcome to ask questions. I'm probably going to say this 1 or 2 more times, but feel free to participate. You guys can ask whatever you want. Sammy Sosa on Twitter, 160 calls. I'm guessing that means you swung those. Should be looking good in the morning. Nice, TK. Good. So yeah, honestly, it's probably time here. I can get into Tesla a little bit. So, my whole idea this morning and kind of what I was talking about is obviously sentiment has been very bad on Tesla, right? We've seen delivery numbers get killed, Cybertruck issues, just kind of, I mean, really just all the above. I mean, I can't really remember every single statistic, but overall, it's obviously been pretty bad. And we look on a bigger time frame here. Tesla's been, we hit a high of about 265 back in December of 2023, and it's been nothing but selling since. So, I mean, obviously that means the stock isn't doing good. We know from headlines that Tesla hasn't done very good as a company. But when you guys think of electric vehicles, what do you think of? You know, I don't see many Rivians. I don't see many Lucid cars out there. Obviously, I have seen them, but maybe one or two ever. And all you see is Teslas, right? You probably see a Tesla every day. So I mean, Tesla's the biggest EV name, um, and you kind of think on a bigger scale here. A new company, especially a car company that's done as well as Tesla. Well, obviously they're going to start out. Well, Tesla honestly started bad, right? They weren't making money for I think a year or two, but whatever. That's typically how big companies start. But there's going to be that kind of craze, that hype early on. A lot of people are going to be buying. The stock's going to go exponential. The company's going to go exponential. But there's only so many people that are going to be just running to an EV car company so quickly, right? So the hype is going to die out. You're going to get that early craze. All those early buyers come in because they just, they want to be within that company, right? They want to have that car. They want to invest in the stock, whatever it is. Okay, great. After, I would say the hype has been for about 2-3 years. At some point, it's going to die off a little bit. And not only are you seeing that within the stock, but you're seeing that with delivery numbers. You're seeing that with a lot of other statistics that go into the fundamentals of Tesla, right? So to me, it's not that big of a deal. The early adopters came in, bought the cars. You see Teslas pretty much everywhere you go. It's not a company that's just going to go bankrupt, right? It's not going to go anywhere. But the hype is kind of died out. But looking long term, I mean, obviously we know that Biden is wanting all electric by 2035, which to me is absolutely insane. But electric vehicles aren't going to just get wiped off the face of the earth, right? They're going to stay here. Maybe they're going to get better. I think really the main factor here is not necessarily the electric side of things, but more so the self-driving, right? So I've heard recently, I've read some things, and honestly, even from some engineer guys that I know at my university, they've had some classes and projects or whatever on Tesla, and even finance guys, even. And I know this because I run the trading club here at Texas A&M. But so basically, the group consensus is, where's Tesla going to be in 20, 30 years, right? Do electric vehicles take over? Maybe. I don't think so. I mean, I don't think that the electric side of things is even sustainable. Oil's not going to go anywhere, right? We need oil. If Trump comes into office, he's probably going to want to start drilling in America more, going to bring gas prices down, all that. Do I think the combustion engine is going to be wiped off the face of the earth? No. But what is the biggest, I mean, selling point may not be the right phrase, but what's the biggest thing that Tesla offers that some other companies are trying to bring in, but Tesla's kind of front running right now? Well, it's the autopilot, right? The right software stick, man. Exactly. So with AI and all that stuff coming out right now, Tesla maybe, and again, this is just kind of a thesis, kind of just a prediction here. But I mean, Tesla's going to stick with their cars, right? But what if Tesla in, like I said, 20, 30 years is more of a car software company? Maybe they're the ones supplying the self-driving autopilot software, AI kind of stuff to all cars, because I feel like we all are in agreement that later on in life, travel, whether it's in airplanes or maybe within just cars in general, is going to be kind of more of a self-driving autopilot type deal. So does Tesla steer into that direction, whether it's more just software stuff? They have these crazy engineers, Maybe they cut back on their cars once, like I was talking about. The craze is kind of gone. They have, most of their consumers that actually want the car go. Yeah, Stickman, I agree. It may end up not even being a car company. It's more of a autopilot software. So in every car that everyone's driving, they're using Tesla autopilot self-driving software. So I don't know. I mean, I don't want to go on to this forever, but that was something interesting that I heard of. And as a trader, it's good to hear. As an investor, it may kind of pique your interest to be buying Tesla around this area. I've talked for days, if not weeks, about 140, 150 being a pretty good long-term spot. We hit 164 high here after hours. So is this the bottom? I don't know. We kind of got our full pullback on the market that I would think. Could it continue? Of course. Obviously we're going to have to be gauging what's going on in the Middle East. Could it get worse? Obviously it could. I did see that I think we're sending like another 38, 39 billion to Ukraine. We're sending like 10 or 15. I know the 38, 39 to Ukraine's right. But I'm kind of guessing here on what we sent to, I think Iran, maybe Israel, one of the two, but we're sending more money overseas. So the US is obviously going to be involved in whatever happens, but just stuff to keep in mind, right? If things get even worse overseas, then maybe the market takes another downturn. However, like I've said before, another way to look at this stuff is when there's turmoil overseas, foreign money may pour into the US markets because it's quote unquote safer and our market continues higher. So quickly here, I'm going to get back into Tesla in a second, but I do want to look at SPY. I'm going to go on the weekly chart here just so it's a little bit cleaner, but disregard these blue lines and all that. But like I said, last week, huge sell-off, right? That was needed. We had in something else that I want you guys to notice, and I hope that you can quote me on, is I talked about the sell-off being aggressive, and it'll be pretty violent when it happens. Yes, of course, there was some sort of negative news catalyst that came into this, but nobody wants to be the last guy holding. So when a market is so strong, so such a bull market, we're getting a crazy all-time high after all-time high after all-time high for almost no reason, considering what's going on around the world. Once there's a little bit of a top and a rollover, and then you add on some bad news, it's going to be crazy. And we saw a 5-6-ish% move on SPY in 1 week. As expected, it's not something I'm going to be looking to like buy puts way up here. I've done that stuff before. Sometimes it works out, but you can never time some sort of negative news catalyst that goes on. However, when you have a move like this and try to disregard these candles here, you kind of think that, okay, a top is probably coming, right? So, you could be the guy buying 6 months or a year out, waiting for it. Maybe you make some money. Maybe you're a guy that kind of waits and knows, okay, something's happening, and then you take the trade, whatever it is. I feel like we finally got our pullback, and look, we've almost retraced about half the move. So with the other big tech names that are coming out this week, we have Meta, we have Microsoft, we have Google. We don't have any chip stocks. So obviously like NVIDIA, AMD, Micron, Intel. We actually do have Intel, I think, on Thursday after close. That could be a precursor for the chip stocks. But basically it's just kind of big tech. Like I said, Google, Microsoft, Meta, stuff like that. But back into Tesla here, talking about how negative the sentiment has been. Their earnings were terrible, guys. I mean, it was nothing good. Their free cash flow was actually negative for the first time in a long time. They were expecting like 650 million positive in free cash flow, and they were like 2-point-something billion negative. That's not good. Their EPS was expected to be, and that's earnings per share, like 50, 52, 53 cents a share, and they came in at 45. So that's also negative. But you can see the stock goes up. So, for people that do their research and stuff, like, okay, Tesla probably going to be bad earnings. Well, I mean, that's super expected, right? Anyone could look up Tesla stock news and see negative stuff and think that, okay, there's no way this goes, up. But the stocks come down so much in the last 6 months that, to me, being a trader and seeing moves like this, and like I said earlier on in the stream, I actually swung some calls. Um, and I've seen this before on Amazon. I also talked about this morning. But if the news isn't like astronomically bad, even though they're expecting bad news, and it's just like on par or maybe even not as bad as they think, but still bad, the stock's going to pop. Not only are we out of support technical wise, but we've dropped off so much, it just gave this a chance to squeeze. With how much short interest is in this, how many people are wanting the stock to go down and thinking the stock's going to go down, all it takes is a little bit of a pop and you're going to get a squeeze here because those shorts have to cover. Another thing to point out, and don't quote me on this, I wouldn't be surprised to see this at 170, maybe 175 in the morning. Why is that? Well, we're up here after hours. Like I talked about, short interest, people that have been short the stock may start having to get out. There's going to be people covering, meaning they're having to buy the stock back. Maybe people wanting to dip buy this, and maybe people just wanting to buy tomorrow morning, trying to get the stock to move up, trying to catch a momentum move. Do I think this is going to rip straight to 200, in a day or two? No. Could it happen? Of course. But to me, I'm thinking this could be a short-term pop tomorrow morning. I would think we can easily open down. I don't know, but I would think that we're going to probably open higher than we are now, probably closer to 170, maybe 175. What am I going to be looking for? Well, like I said, I did swing some calls. I bought the 170 calls for next week. Do I want to hold on to those? That's kind of a dilemma that I have right now. Could I see this going higher? Of course. Do I think it's going to start going on some sort of crazy run? No, because really they haven't done anything well. Elon Musk came on the earnings call and said, well, I expect to sell a lot more cars next year than we have this year. Well, okay. I mean, that doesn't say a whole lot, right? But that's just optimism. Help the stock go higher. So for me, since I swung, and for anyone listening that did swing calls, I'm probably going to be selling off the open. Simply because you're going to see an IV crush, meaning the implied volatility is going to come down. It's much higher right now. I'll get into that in a second. You're going to see an IV crush. I am certain you're going to see some sort of pullback off the open. And for me as a day trader, I'm not live trading tomorrow, and I really wish I was. But for you guys in the day trading chat, I will be around. What I'm going to be looking for is, I'm sure what you could guess, pull back off the open, play the new high, right? If we open up 170, 175, I would like to see a pullback for maybe $2, $3, $5. And then if buying pressure comes right in, I'm going to be looking to buy calls as we approach that high a day that we opened at. Ideally, we open and instantly drop. Once we drop, create a bottom, and we see aggressive buying come in, boom, play the new high, look for, maybe a $2 or $3, maybe $5 move. That would be awesome on a Wednesday. And, we make some money. However, like I was talking about, the IV crush, I would like it to take about 10 minutes is a little much, but at least 5 minutes. So pull back, maybe a little bit of chop for 2-3 minutes, let that IV come down, let those contracts lose value. And then we can start buying them when volume's coming in, when the stock's ripping, boom, boom, take our 2, 3, 4, 5 minute trade, get out, be done for the day. So Tesla is going to be my main watch tomorrow for sure. I'm sure it brought the market up a little bit. What's up, Chris? Netflix and Apple were two stocks I was waiting on for the downside. Netflix ripped, didn't trade that today. Apple, kind of same thing, kind of some flat price action, but just waiting on this. I don't care what Apple does. I don't care if it goes on a run. If it wants to do that, great, it does that. But if the market gets weak again and we see Apple pull back over under 165, I want to see some selling momentum come in, looking to play the new low around 164 here. And then I think it's probably headed for 160. So that's going to be what I'm watching. I did see some stuff on Microsoft today. What happened with that? Little gap up and move, only up 1.6%, so nothing crazy. But I mean, yeah, pretty solid support here. Big reason why I wasn't trying to go short, just because you can see here buying pressure come in, sold off. This could have been a pretty good dip buy down here around 400, but I'm not too interested in playing Microsoft up in here. I'm going to wait for 430. So yeah, my kind of rant on Tesla is done. Unless you guys have other questions, more people are in here on Twitter and YouTube and Twitch. So if you guys have questions, ask away. Discord, you guys know how it goes. Ask whatever you want. But yeah, pretty solid move on Tesla. And you know, I love talking about it just because it's a good lesson for you, for everyone. You know, you could research all you want on a company that you think that you know well, but you don't actually know how the stock moves, and all you see is negative stuff around it coming into earnings, and that actually gives it the best opportunity to bounce, unless earnings were that bad, you know, just worse than expectations pretty much. TK, you said Pepsi tanked today. RB, yeah, I mean, I'm going to be in the day trading chat tomorrow for sure. And I mean, like you've seen before, um, I'll type stuff up. If there's a, you know, if there's a really good trade there, like if Tesla opens up pretty high, you know, I never want to take away from other analysts here in the chat, but I may hop into to voice quickly. Cool. All right. Yeah. But, you know, like I said, I don't want to take away from any other traders, but if, you know, you may want to be paying attention to the day trade chat in the day traders corner with me, because I will be typing a lot. So please do listen to them if you want to join their call, but look in the chat for me tomorrow, since I'm not going to be on live streaming or anything. All right, RB, if you're leaving, take care, man. Vans, if you swung calls into tomorrow, is it best to sell market right at open or wait for the pullback and for it to keep going? I have calls for June. So, okay, good point. So I have next week expiration. So, and you have June expiration. So you have, you know, over a month to hold on to this. If I had June expiration, that's kind of your dilemma now, right? Is, do you want to hold? Do I think that it's going to continue? I think there's a very high chance if we open up high tomorrow. If we show up tomorrow morning and Tesla's back under 150, I would say probably just get rid of it. But if we open up higher tomorrow, just don't get freaked out at a pullback. For me personally, since I have next week expiration, which is semi-close, yeah, I could hold on to it and maybe I can make some more money, but I'll just day trade the move. So I rather take my money off the open, boom, I'm talking like first few seconds, just get out. If we get the pullback and we get, because, you know, this could easily pull back and just kind of sell off the rest of the day. And that's kind of why I just don't even want to risk it. I'm going to take my money. I, you know, rarely ever swing earnings. This was just kind of a weird opportunity that I thought maybe there's a chance to make money. Did I risk a lot of money? Absolutely not. Right. I mean, I traded with like 5% of a normal position size, even that. So I was totally fine with risking 50 to 70 to 80% loss on a very small position just to see if this would happen. And luckily, so far, it happened right. So for me personally, I'm going to be getting out early, just kind of right on the open, take my money, move on. If we get the pullback and then buying pressure comes back in, I'll just day trade it, because I can make a lot more money day trading it than I would hoping and holding on to, you know, a few contracts, trying to see if it can go higher. Because, you know, I'd rather just take the money and then day trade it and be safe than hold on to a swing and then it just sells off for the rest of the day. Then I lose money, you know, that I was up. But like I said, you have June expiration. I don't. So that's something else that you could think about. I like that plan, Vans. If you have 3, sell 2, hold 1. I like that. Because worst comes to worst, right? You could just have a break even stop loss or even a small green stop loss. Let's say, for example, you're up $100 a contract, probably going to be more. But let's say you're up $100 a contract. You could have a stop loss for up $20 a contract. So no matter what, you're going to make some money on it. If it pulls back, then whatever. You only make $20 on that one contract if you sold 2 of your 3. Or you can have some sort of price stop loss. Well, if Tesla opens at 6, or 168, maybe you have a 160 hard stop because you're probably still going to be green there. So if price dips down, holds 160 and bounces, well, then you're fine. If we pull back down to around 160, bounce around, market's selling off or whatever, then we break under 160, then cut it and you can take a profit there. So regardless, you're obviously not going to be losing on this trade, right? But worst comes to worst, you break even on one of your running contracts. That's how I would trade it. Duco, yeah, perfect. You kind of read my mind there. I'm holding above 160 till 200 plus. Oh yeah, there you go. Boom. I've talked recently about 140, 150, like I said, being a pretty good buy spot. Could this be the bottom, guys? Yeah, it could easily be the bottom. If the market rebounds and goes back to all-time highs, Tesla, somehow running here after hours, maybe gets some momentum. And I don't want to keep repeating myself, but thinking about how many people are shorting the stock, how much money is shorting it, getting out of the stock, selling the stock. This move here is going to force some people to get involved or cover shorts or whatever, and there's going to be some momentum to the upside. So as long as we open up very strong in the morning, I wouldn't be surprised to see a move even higher. So something to pay attention to. It's pretty unfortunate that we sold off so hard last week because I did have some pretty decent upside setups. However, even though Tesla, like on a big time frame, if we didn't have earnings, let me just go into this a little bit. If we didn't have earnings today and Tesla just somehow kind of had a strong move up in this area, I wouldn't even consider trading it, until 185. But since we had earnings, since maybe we gap up here even higher, and even that doesn't matter. There's a catalyst behind it. There's going to be attention on the stock. So I can kind of look, this is kind of when the scalping side of things comes into play. Since there's attention, like I said, momentum, volume, money, all that, because of earnings, well, I can look at it tomorrow. I don't care what happens on this side of the stock simply because of those factors. So I could care less about what happens here. If Tesla is really strong tomorrow because of the earnings play, I'm going to look for the same kind of price action that I look for on a day-to-day basis. Strong stock, pull back off the open, play the new high, boom, boom, get out, scalp it, day trade it, whatever. Could it go higher? Of course, but that's a very high odds trade for me because of, like I said, attention, volume, money, momentum, all that. If we didn't have earnings today and tested the same thing, I wouldn't be looking at it. So I want to make that clear of why I would even consider it tomorrow, even though we're not at a very key big time frame level. If Tesla was down, I don't care what support or resistance is to the left that we've hit. We had earnings. It's been bad. Tesla dropped off hard. I'll look to play a new low. It's kind of the same thing. There's just going to be momentum and volatility there that we can take advantage of and make some money on. That provides us, a pretty high odds opportunity. So, are there any questions on that? More people came in here on Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. So, once again, if you guys have questions, please ask, or any tickers or anything. This is a free lesson. We're 30 minutes in, so I got about another 30 minutes to go. So ask away. If not, we can wrap things up quickly. I don't care. I'm here for y'all. What else? So let me just pull up earnings calendar really quick here. I don't think you guys can see it because it's on another screen, but let's go to earnings whispers. So for the rest of the week, what do we got here? So tomorrow morning we have Boeing and AT&T. Those are pretty much the biggest names that I see. After hours tomorrow at close, I'm going to be doing an earnings stream tomorrow. So pay attention to that. I'll be here at market close doing a free live stream for everyone going over Meta, Ford, IBM, and Chipotle. Those are the biggest names for tomorrow after close. Thursday, pre-market, we have American Airlines. We have Southwest Airlines. We also have Caterpillar. Caterpillar moves sometimes. I remember them having some sort of news with Tesla that made Tesla run. But anyways, Thursday after close is going to be a pretty exciting, pretty big day. We have Microsoft, we have Google, we have Intel, we have Snapchat, we have Roku, we have T-Mobile. All those names are valid to watch. So Thursday at the market close, pay attention. And then Friday morning, we're going to have ExxonMobil and Chevron, two very important names, especially because of what's going on overseas right now. So keep that in mind. For anyone that needs this picture, go on Earnings Whispers on Twitter, and you will see this. So cool. Saul G, thoughts on Meta. So Meta, I know they had a kind of a decent move today. Obviously, we came into the support here around 485, 480. We're above 500 now. If the market stays strong, I think that this was probably a pretty good buy spot. For me, from a day trading standpoint, am I that interested right now? No. What I would look for is, this is kind of where my mind goes. Solid downtrend here. If we can break above 505, maybe there's momentum here. Do I want to be buying in here and just kind of predicting a crazy move up to 530? No. But would I be paying attention to this for small little momentum trades during the day? Sure. However, once we get above 525-ish, coming into this 530 level, that's when I'm going to be really paying attention to it, because 531.49 here is the all-time high. So we come into that area. I'll be looking to kind of trade into maybe 525 and 530, looking for some more momentum there, and then look to trade the all-time high. So just I want to keep hammering this point down. Last week, big sell-off, right? This week, we have a lot of tech names. If these tech stocks do good, and we see, Tesla is kind of the first one. They actually had bad news and they ripped. If we see these other tech names end up doing good and pulling the market back up, well, if the market's strong and Meta does good on earnings, well, maybe we have some more trades here to the upside. I'm really interested in this 530 level here on Meta. I'm interested in the 430 level on Microsoft. Google, I'm interested in 160. Here we are. So we actually had a pretty good day today. I don't want to trade this the same week as earnings until after the earnings. So let's say that Google, for even right now, for example, Google's on Thursday after close. I really don't want to trade Google until Friday. I would trade it. I don't want to say I'm not going to trade it the same week. I'm just not going to trade it the same week before earnings. Once earnings comes out, so just like Tesla, right? We had Tesla earnings today. I'm more than happy to trade it the rest of the week, just because the contracts will then settle down. We've already gotten our crazy move, and we can actually look for some clean price action. So Google going to stay away until Friday at the very earliest. But Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'll consider it. So 160, I'm looking at that. 430 Microsoft and 530 on Meta. Sound good? What else you guys got? That's weird. Well, not seeing many questions, guys. Again, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, you guys can ask whatever you want. Charlie, give me something good. It's been kind of a boring last 2 days, not much price action, but as expected. Monday, Tuesday on a week like this, when kind of Tuesday after the close through the rest of the week, we're then going to have those bigger earnings names, which is going to bring more action to the market. So I've kind of sat back, no reason to try to force any trades. Yeah, maybe there was one or two trades I could have forced and made some money on, but I could have easily lost. Looking back on things, you think, well, yeah, I could have made money there. I should have done that. But it's kind of hard to when you're playing it safe, sticking to your rules, trying not to do anything stupid. Charlie, yeah, that's good, man. If you've stayed away from things, I have too. It's been very choppy, very indecisive. Market hasn't made any clear moves. No reason to day trade it. Why? It's so much easier to show up, watch price action, hang out, no stress, let the market do whatever it wants. You're simply waiting for prices to come into play for you to then trade. That's all it is. So, I mean, there was no, anxiousness from me at all. Nervousness, fear, greed, hope, anything like that. Because a lot of the stocks that I want to trade are not at the levels that I want them at. So I don't care what they do until they come to where I want them. I have no interest in even looking at them. Jeremy Dennis on YouTube, couldn't get out of my 503 SPY put in time today, expiration tomorrow. Hail Mary. Well, maybe we pull back. I don't know. If it's a 0 DTE, I'm sure you weren't in that heavy unless you bought a ton of contracts. So, we'll see. Could we sell off tomorrow? Of course we could. I don't know. Any day trading book recommendations? Okay, good question. I haven't thought about this in a while. Market Wizards is a good one. I listened to that audiobook just because it's a longer one. I think there's one called How to Day Trade for a Living that I read. So there's kind of, it's hard because, and again, I only know what I know. And I only have heard from the people that I've heard from, right? So I don't want to say this is a right or wrong answer. And I have read and listened to a couple day trading books. I've listened to plenty of day trading podcasts. But hang on, there's one more. Black Edge is a good one. It's not specifically for day trading, but it kind of gives you stories and stuff on Wall Street, day trading firms back in the day. It does talk about Steve Cohen and Kenny Lysick. And Kenny Lysick is my boss in real life when I work at the day trading firm in person. So that's very cool to see his name in a book. But yeah, Bobby Axelrod and Mike Wagner. Yeah, Jag, you get it, man. Where was I going with that? Okay, so my conflict of interest here is when I started working at this day trading firm. I was, I think, 18 at the time, and Kenny Lysick, the guy I'm talking about, who's in that book, and I was an intern at the time, randomly said, "You're coming to lunch with me." Like, okay, well, that's scary as all get out, but sure. Right, I'm not going to turn that down. So I go to lunch with this guy who's an absolute legend. For anyone that knows anything about Wall Street or anything, it's just me and him at lunch. Craziest lunch I've ever had, I think, in my life. But one of the questions that he asked me was, have you read day trading books? And of course, I'm like, well, yeah, I've read a couple. And he said, forget all of it. For people that really trade for a living, they don't write books and sell them. He's a very blunt guy. He's very straight to the point. He is not the nicest person you're ever going to meet. So I don't want to tell you that that's the right way to go, is just not even look at books or, not even consider reading some, because I have, and they have helped. I know plenty of other traders that talk about day trading books that have helped them. So I don't think that there's any wrongdoing with that. But it is interesting to hear from someone that has done this for 40 plus years, who was trading the stock market before computers did, say that, forget all the books. He looks, and he is quote unquote the trading relations kind of the trading coach at this day trading firm. His whole thing is he's going to look at every trader, and honestly, he prefers you to not really know what you're doing before you come in, because if you think that you know what you're doing, I mean, obviously, he's not going to be mad if you know what a candlestick is and know kind of how to read price action. But if you come in with, oh, I only trade this specific strategy, he looks at that as almost a downfall, because he's like, well, I have to then make you unlearn your bad habits and show you how it's really done. Me and him are very different traders, but we do think there are a couple trades that I've noticed when I've spent time with him that we do think the same way on. One of them in specific was UPS over the summer. I don't know if you guys remember the strike that was going on with UPS. A lot of people were just that worked for UPS were on strike because they wanted more pay, and blah blah blah. I don't really remember statistics on that, but the stock was going up and up and up and up. Okay, so he's like, all right. I came to him and I was like, look, I think this is probably buy the hype, sell the news. UPS isn't going anywhere. They're not going to let 50 to 75% of their employees leave. And the stock kept going up. Okay, cool. So we rode the wave a little bit. We bought a little bit of stock, made a little bit of money, and we're just waiting for the news to come out that, okay, they made a new compensation package. They're going to up the hourly wage or whatever. It was like 11 or 12 o'clock, Central Time for me when that came out. Boom, shorted the stock, and the stock just tanked like, $10, $15, made a ton of money. I feel like I probably should have gotten a little commission on that, but whatever. Really, really cool trade. So that's just kind of how the market works. You would think that without looking at a stock chart, you would think UPS stock is going down on this bad news. And then whenever they come out with, oh, we're going to pay our employees better, the stock would go up. And really, it's the opposite. If you think about it, how I just explained it, the stock was going up, watching the chart. Why is that? Well, UPS isn't going to leave all their employees. Like I said, stock's going up and up and up and up because it was on a dip. News comes out, people sell off, boom, crazy tank. It's almost the opposite of what you would think things happen. And we have another example on Tesla today. Logically, it would almost make sense for things to go, for Tesla to come down, for UPS to fall and then bounce on that news. But from a stock market day trading side of things, it's a lot of the times the opposite way. And that's the problem. And that's why day trading is so hard, because you almost have to make yourself think the opposite of what you do. For anyone that's a losing trader right now, who's not profitable, well, if you just inverse everything that you think, every trade that you've taken, and you do the opposite of it, well, you would be profitable then, right? So you just have to train yourself to almost think, I don't want to just tell you that, okay, well, you think Tesla's going to go up today, think the opposite of yourself and short the stock. I want you to try to train your mind into thinking, well, seeing this over and over and over again, it's probably going to do the opposite of what everyone in the world would think. And that comes into my, psychology lessons and all that stuff I've done with you guys. Group thinking, kind of going with the herd, tends to not work. You have to kind of think outside of the box. People with big money want to trap all the minnows, right? You want to be the one big shark that, comes in and scoops up the money. You don't want to be running with the herd with all the minnows trying to pick up, crumbs here and there. You want to be looking for those opposite moves, because, another thing that they talk about there is it's unbelievable how many people just randomly go on Twitter and see, I had some guy, I don't think he's here, but I had some guy that I was teaching say that, well, I follow someone named Warren Buffett on Twitter, and obviously it's not the Warren Buffett, but it was some Warren Buffett trades dude, and he's just losing money. I'm like, there's just, if you don't understand what's going on, there's no reason to blindly follow somebody. Like that's why, I think trading by yourself is probably not the best way to go. But trading with a community that's actually teaching you the fundamentals and the basics of how to trade, that's when you're going to get better. If you don't understand what you're doing, or at least working to understand what you're doing, you're never going to do good, because you're just going to think that you can blindly come in and, just like sports betting, you pay for some, random dude who has a sports betting Discord, and just think that you could just take his picks blindly without having any sort of logic or thought process behind it. The main goal here for any sort of trading chat room, and obviously there's plenty that just offer random signals, the end goal should be understanding what to do so you can actually do this on your own. And I'm not saying trade by yourself, but understand it on your own. You should watch Bernie Madoff series. I haven't though, but I want to. That was one of the biggest Ponzi schemes in history. That's it. Charlie, yeah. So you remember that? Yeah, he told me he's listening to someone named Warren Buffett. I'm like, dude, come on. What are we doing? For anyone that hasn't watched Billions, though, I highly recommend it. Chag, I think I have like 2 or 3 episodes left for this final season. So I just got to the point. Well, I don't know where you are, so I'm not going to talk about it. But you're done. So I watched, the last episode I watched was when they fired Wags, Wendy, and the girl with the shaved head. So yeah, pretty cool. TikTok's being forced to be sold, Breckle? No way. Let me look this up. Being sold to a U.S. company? 2 days ago, firmly opposed platform being divested. 95 billion foreign aid package. America just wants to take it over just because they don't want it in China. Yeah, Dukosh. I mean, if anyone looks like they're literally made of AI, it's her. Charlie, if you haven't watched it yet, then you have plenty to watch. You'll probably forget this at one point. Yeah, she looks like a robot person for sure. Well, we got about 10 minutes left here, guys. What else do you have for me? Only devil worshippers watch TikTok. Brecca, where'd you see that about TikTok? Wall Street Journal. Cool. Okay, I need to go look into that after this. But just so we're on the same page here, I'm really not going to be looking at anything besides Tesla tomorrow. I talked about wanting to see a pullback off the open and then a push through high of day. Ideally, we see this open up around 170, maybe 175. I would love that. So, we'll see. Can't expect anything. Who knows where this is going to be in the morning. But other than that, I don't really have many upside setups. If the market gets weak, I'm still going to be watching Netflix and Apple to the downside. So not super interested. Anything else? What are the indicators and go-to patterns that you would recommend starting with? So, in the beginning, I tried to find all the indicators I possibly could. And over time, you're just going to take them off. You don't need all the moving averages. You don't need all these crazy RSI, MACD. feel free to play with them. So RSI is one, MACD is one, the 9 EMA, 12 EMA. I mean, those are all okay. But to me, the best indicators is volume. Just watching volume, and then, it's going to take a lot more time, but then understanding price action and just watching and trying to understand it from a buying and selling standpoint, that's going to be the biggest thing. But, patterns, I would look for flag patterns, bull flag, bear flag, wedge patterns, ascending wedge, descending wedge, symmetrical wedge, all that stuff. Charlie, you may want to go back and look at my, I think it was called like chart pattern lesson. It should be in the day trading archive lesson stuff. So go back and look at that. I mean, I wish I can give you a perfect answer on that. That's probably the best I can do. But, obviously it's just going to take time. It's really just going to take time watching, listening to me, listening to other traders talk through price action, because, I've said this before, it's like learning a language. Once you understand it on a fundamental level, you don't need a bunch of lines on your chart, like for, patterns and stuff. I have lines, but those are price levels. But, it really just depends. Is it mainly because volume is king for day trade, but for swing, more long-term indicator can help forecast plays in long run? Yeah. So, I mean, I don't think that there's necessarily a perfect swing trading indicator. This is maybe more for Mr. SLP, since he's a swing trading coach. But, I would, again, like, no line on a screen is going to be a guaranteed reason to buy or sell a stock. If it was that easy, everyone would do it. Hedge funds would do it. Everyone would be millionaires, right? It's just not that easy. So obviously those can help you. More of like a confirmation-based thing. But I'm going to say it over and over and over again. Under price action and volume is key. Once you can understand those two from a very fundamental, basic standpoint, that's when you're really going to start accelerating in your trading journey. Right. You can use all the indicators as confirmation. I wouldn't try to put a million different indicators on, because they're all going to contradict themselves and things just get too messy. I would rather a very clean chart looking at price levels, volume, and then maybe a trend line or two. Because I know at this point in my career that I can gauge how a stock is going to move depending on the volume and the price action, because I can read the bare bones of what's really going on rather than trying to just make up what I think is going to happen because one line crosses the other. So you turn on every indicator and go to town. Well, guys, numbers don't lie. If you use 20 indicators and you're profitable, then there's no reason to stop, But again, I've been around guys who are moving millions and millions of dollars, and believe me, their charts look even simpler than mine. I have this little arrow indicator. I have some price levels. I have some sort of algo that paints trend lines for me. But other than that, I mean, some of these guys, they're not even looking at a 1-minute chart in their day traders, They're just logical guys, It was pretty crazy. One quick story here before we wrap up. We're in a lunchtime meeting at the firm, meaning that, you have a meeting at the beginning, 2 hours before the market open, a meeting at lunchtime, and then that's it until market close. So at our lunchtime meeting, it was when Apple was one of the first companies to start laying off employees last year. And, Microsoft and Google and, those companies started following, but Apple was one of the first ones. And he's sitting there with us and goes, "Raise your hand if you think laying off employees is bad news." Most people did. He said, "Correct. What do you think I'm going to do here?" Some people said, "Well, you're going to buy the dip." He said, "No, I sell bad news and I buy good news." Shorted 80,000 shares of stock. The stock dropped $5. Made $40,000 within 15, 20 minutes, sitting right in front of us. Sometimes it's really that simple, It really is that simple. Buying good news, selling bad news, being logical, that's just how it happens, you know. And let's just do the math here. I'm just gonna guess here. I think Apple was maybe like, I don't know if this is pre-split or not. Let's just be very conservative here. $150 a share times 80,000, 12 mil. I mean, it's just numbers at that point. He's not thinking P&L wise. He's not thinking money wise. He's thinking very high odds trade. Don't hesitate. Make the trade. Execute the trade. Sell bad news. Makes $3, $4, $5. Take it. Move on. 40 grand. Done. You know? Sometimes it's just that simple, like I said. Yeah, Duco, that's pretty crazy. It's more appealing to the eye than really knowing how to trade. Yeah, I mean, Stickman, that's really all it is. Trade like a robot, no emotions, right? Biggest rule in trading, there's just no emotions. That's a Google chart, good. Well, guys, we have about a few more minutes here, so if there's any last-minute questions, ask away. If not, let's wrap it up. I still got more work to do after this, so I don't want to keep you guys all night. It's been a pretty good hour. YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, any last-minute questions? Discord, you guys know. Boxers and briefs. Well, Duco, come to the Penny Boys meetup. Want to meet all you guys. Cool. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much, as always, for showing up. YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, thank you guys, too. I will be around in the chats tomorrow. If Tesla's moving well, I may hop in voice. I don't want you guys to miss that. But if not, I'm going to be in the chats firing away. So I'm really excited for tomorrow morning. So I will see you guys then. Other than that, have a good night. And let's make some money.